And that's a very important point that you make, Faye, because in 2015, when Justin Trudeau's cabinet had 50-50, equal number of men and women, and he was asked why, he replied saying, because it's 2015, and why not? And I think that's very interesting that we take on. But Faye, just a couple of questions. I want to take on what you said in terms of, how the word feminist is being used as a bit of an abuse, as a derogatory term. Feminazi is another derivative of that term, a disgusting word, really. Why? And, before I even go on asking this question, I recall my grandmother watching a Malayalam reality show, I think similar to the lines of Big Boss, when one contestant who was being interviewed in the little booth, I believe, that they have for interviews, she began with the term, "Nyan feminist illa," meaning, I'm not a feminist, but why is that becoming a bad word? Trudeau himself said we should all be feminists. Bring your boys up to be good feminists, and that's important. But why? Why is it being such a derogatory term today? Is it a case of misunderstanding, Faye?
I think it is. I think that fundamentally people consider feminists hateful, angry women who don't like men. That's not necessarily true. Mm-hmm. I'm quite fond of men, personally. And also, this happens a lot. On TV, at least, when I ask people, are you a feminist? Or I say something about being a feminist, people turn around and say, no, I'm a humanist. I'm like, what does that even mean? Humanist is not a thing. Fundamentally, the definition for me for what is a feminist is if you believe that women and men should have equal rights and opportunities, you're a feminist. And the reason why that is called feminist and not humanist is because obviously it comes from the fact that women currently don't have equal opportunities and equal rights, and we need to correct that balance. It has nothing to do with hating men. It has nothing to do with, wanting to take the rights away from men or anything else. Or also, for the record, it has nothing to do with lesbianism, in case someone was wondering. But there seems to be a lot of, there are now men's rights activists who take grave offense to the word feminist, which, I'm not really sure where that comes from. Do you want
to? It's like the word secular.
Sorry,
it's like the word secular, right? It's like what you interpret of it. But specifically to the corporate world, and I have been personally in situations where sitting around trying to hire people, and I have seen grown, educated sort of men who turn around and say, "Ye ladki hai, kar nahi payegi, shaadi karke chali jayegi, she'll get married and go away. She's just gotten married, probably she might get into mat leave, let's not put her on the show." This is shocking. This happens with colleagues who are educated, who are working in professional environments, who are married, who have daughters of their own. Again, coming back to the point of mindset, right? This mindset, at a sort of macro level, as Faye mentions, you can institutionally correct it. You can bring in laws, you can bring in 33% reservation in parliament, which the men parliament are fighting very hard against. In corporate India, you have, again, some of it, my concern, Faye, in this is, some of it gets reduced to tokenism. Corporate India is supposed to have 1/3 of corporate boards supposed to be represented by women. What do? Put their daughters or wives on the board. Again, nothing wrong with it. The point is, the answer to this, at some level, while it can be enforced by law, it has to be ground up. It has to happen at the school level.
But I want to ask this. Even that corporate tokenism, right? Yeah. The number of phone calls I got as a journalist saying, "Acha, do you know anybody we can put on our board? Do you know anybody?" But at least these people were out looking for women to put on their boards. They would have never asked otherwise.
No, fair point.
It would have never come up.
Fair point. My argument is, why are these things not ground up? Again, where does gender consciousness begin? It has to happen at kindergarten level for these things to change. But it's not going to happen overnight. I think this is a huge battle. I hope in our lifetime this is one.
Since we're having two editors on our panel, I can't quite help but ask this question. I'm from the media myself. Do you perhaps feel, we were talking a little before you got here, Faye, about reduced gender roles, where women are hired for accomplishing a certain job that they feel only a woman can, which is a very patronizing, act of hiring them in the first place. For instance, women customer care representatives, because apparently men listen to what a woman says a lot more, as opposed to an ego clash that they might have if a male were to be on the other side. It's something we were discussing about. Do you feel that in the media, and I'm just asking the question, that bosses in the media prefer female anchors in non-prime time hours as opposed to male anchors because they get viewership going? Is that something that you're observing?
I will tell you, and I'm not exaggerating or joking, and I cannot tell you who told me this, but in the last 1 year, since we launched Mirror Now, and we're a channel, we have 90% female anchors. And incidentally, only our Chennai reporter is male, by the way. All the rest of them are female. It just turned out like that.
Chennai reporter was a female, by the way, a little while ago.
She was, yes.
Our
new Chennai reporter,
hired, male,
a young man called Pramod, is the only one who's male in the entire reporting team. But I get told this a lot. People tell me that you need to have a male primetime anchor because men have more credibility and people like to listen to news from men because they feel that they can believe them. And they don't like to listen to women. Fundamentally writing off my entire career and telling me that I'm disqualified from doing my job because of my gender. I can't tell you how deep I have to go into my heart to find the peace to not punch that person.
And it's
I
true.
normally manage.
And it's true. A number of news channels have men anchoring prime time, yours being one of the exceptions. I think the only exception, if I'm not mistaken.
No, NDTV has a lot
NDTV
of
as well,
female
time to
actors.
time, yes. But non-prime time hours, do you hire women? What about you?
No, but to be fair, among various other industries, I think the television English language media has been relatively more proportionate towards women. And in the business news space that we represent, frankly, men are a minority. We're fast being driven out of this industry by the women, so more power to them. Having said that, I think, some of these, also talking at a time where there are industries where women don't even stand a chance. There's not even they're not even allowed to enter. That's a far bigger battle to fight.
Needham, I just want to know if you want to add something to that. In terms of perceptions, are women more attuned to doing a certain job as opposed to a man? Is that psychologically proven? Is that the case?
No, I don't think so. It's about, not a nature issue, but a nurture issue and how we internalize these stereotypes. I just want to add one more thing on the perception of women. I think it's also a very important point to the cinema and how the cinema represents women, and the misogyny and the violence against women in the movies. And a lot of female actresses are speaking about it, actors are speaking about it. And I think that is something that needs to be really looked at. We learn, kids are watching this, and we talk about rearing our kids at home the right way. And the only way to do that is if the father and mother have mutual respect to each other, and how the things are ran in the family, the kid will internalize it. And then he will internalize from the movies, from every scene that he has seen, what it's supposed to be. That's one thing. And then I want to add to something that Faye had said about feminism. And like now, here, we all are from a certain class, right? Middle class and on. And it's so important to see feminism as a sectional problem, intersectional problem. Today, the most important point in feminism is intersectionality. And we can defend our rights, we can speak, we have education. The women in business can speak up for themselves, and there is so much more hope for them. But then there is a lower class issue where women are working as maids without any insurance, and very prevalent in this country. And society changing from a feudal system, taking care of their maids as family, to an industrial system where it's a very vague contract and they are paid very low. So these women of labor is also something that we should talk about. I'm all for the Me Too and all that, and I'm all for those women who can speak up for themselves, but I think we should also speak up for women who don't have a voice here.
On the point of the films, because we now have Netflix and Amazon Prime and all of these things available, I sort of started watching a lot of the films that came out in the 90s or the late 80s that we grew up on. And the number of times the hero or the main protagonist continues to pursue a woman who has said no to him, which we've raised an entire generation of men on. Yeah. I was just watching Dil Se 2 days ago, and she keeps saying, leave me alone, I don't want you to follow me, leave me alone, I don't even like you, leave me alone, I'm married. And he just continues to grab her and kiss her. And I'm like, oh, you. This explains so much.
And it's continued to recent times as well. Ranjana is a case in point.
I mean, yeah.
Stalking and sort of pursuing like this is actually encouraged. It's culturally it's seen as the right thing to do. That's how you've got to, that's courtship for you. No, the seriousness of this is there are very serious consequences this has had on generations of people who've tried to court women. And again, serials and Tamil cinema is hugely guilty of glorifying this to a certain extent. And Faye, you weren't here. I was mentioning the murder case that happened recently here of a girl who just dumped her boyfriend. And it shocks me no end because it's happening today in 2018 and there isn't a serious debate about it.
All right.
In the South, we have a term for it. It's called love failure.
I just want to mention...
It's a thing. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, go ahead, Edom.
I want to mention that when I first came to India and heard the term Eve teasing, I was shocked. I mean, how lightly it's taken by calling it Eve teasing. Like, this is stalking, this is harassing, verbally harassing women. And I think we shouldn't take it so lightly as Eve teasing.
Just what more, this is the other thing that is so horrifyingly unique to India, acid attacks. That we have this thing in our country where a 20-rupee bottle of acid, which can be bought in a market, is a weapon worse than a gun. And it's normally used on a woman who has said no to somebody. So not only are we talking here about our power of choice, the fact that is when we do say no, the consequences can be life-threatening and perhaps worse. It's spine-chilling. And a lot of it comes from the fact that girls are always told to say no, even to boys that you like. And boys are told that when girls say no, they really mean yes. All they want you to do is be persistent and threaten to jump off a building.
At the end of the day, it's about the woman cannot be allowed to decide the course of her life. Sexually, absolutely not.
And that brings us, I think, to a very logical, conclusion in terms of the topic of the debate itself. Is gender stereotyping natural or is it hardwired? That's something that we need to really address. Let me start with you, Didem. Is it something society imposed or is conforming to a gender role something that people do purely because of the way they are?
Yeah. I think this is what I've been trying to explain. It is a societal learning. You learn it at home, you learn it at school, you learn it everything that you see. I don't think that it's a nature question. Women's brains and men's brains can be weighing differently, or muscles can be weighing differently, but I think these are very minimal questions. And, I don't believe in the nature explanation at all. Oh, no. Even though I know that in some experiments, it was seen that with kids, boys are, even though they were not exposed to, more prone to play with guns as opposed to girls playing with dolls. That doesn't mean anything because there are boys who love, walking their dolls around in their baby purses, and girls who like to play with trucks and cars. So we can't generalize these things.
All right.
And that doesn't do any good to us. This is the misuse of science.
All right. So Harsha, over to you. Closing remarks. Gender conformity, natural or forced?
No, as I mentioned, the commercial market clearly throws up ideas and enforces the beliefs that reinforce ideas of patriarchy. You've got to fight the single day. The point is the ecosystem is so skewed against you that you believe this is how it's done. The status quo, you girls wear pink and boys become firefighters and nurses are only women. And this thought gets reinforced every single day in everything that we do in the consumer industry sort of enforces that. Uh, is this battle going to end? Are we going to win this anytime soon? I'm not so sure. But it's important that a million mutinies are fought every single day.
All right. Faye, even as we move towards 50%, which I'm sure is something that we can achieve very quickly with people like you with the hem especially, gender stereotypes, something that society needs to change perhaps about itself?
Yes, I find myself checking myself a lot. And I think that that's a good way to start. In our homes, in our what I call circles of influence, right? So there are certain people you come in contact with every day. And if you're slightly more aware of what you're doing yourself, you'll see that each of us are also making those mistakes. So you'll have someone in your team who has a really young baby, and you'll be like, "Arey yaar, I can't give her this project. She needs to go home at 5 o'clock every day." You need to quickly check yourself and say, "That's wrong. That thought is wrong." So every time you have a thought where you look at someone and say, "I don't know why she dresses like that. Obviously, she's going to get unwanted attention when she leaves the office." That is a wrong thought. Every time you have that thought, and I know this wonderful family which has 2 young children, and the woman is very driven, and the man is very, very good with the children. So he takes on a lot of the load. And at a family wedding, these aunties who sit around and discuss our lives because they have very little going on in their own lives, were saying, "Arey, ye kya karta hai? This guy to just is with the kids all day. He's not driven, he's not ambitious, he doesn't have much of a job." And I was thinking, if this guy doesn't do what he's doing, she will not be able to go out and be who she wants to be. So it's not just about respecting women in the workplace. We need to also start building a society where we have more genuine respect for fathers who take on more of a role, for fathers who are willing to take the back seat. Because only if they are truly respected for their contribution, can we have the other side. And we can't have it both ways. You can't say you want all women to go out and achieve and be themselves, but you want all men to also go out and achieve and be themselves, and you're putting that kind of pressure on them as well. We need to allow both genders to choose. And only when we can truly allow everybody the right to choose and respect everybody's choice, will we go anywhere near the battles that we want to fight.
Absolutely, and it's a great way to end, I think. It's all about choice, and more importantly, it's all about women going out there and helping women, enabling women to be more represented in the workplace, to break stereotypes, and to move towards a more just, a more equal tomorrow. Yes, Didam, is there something you'd like to say?
I just want to add one thing to that. I think there is something women can do for themselves as well. According to research, it seems like most men take credit to themselves for all their accomplishments. Whereas when women are asked, "How did you come to this point?" "Oh, my mom helped me, somebody helped me," we give credit to all others. So I think we should be brave enough, we should be confident enough to take that credit to ourselves and appreciate ourselves, and not to downplay ourselves at the workplace.
There you go. So go out there and seize the day. That's the perfect way to end. A big round of applause for Faye, Harsha, and Didam, everybody. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I request the dignitaries to kindly stay back. May I now invite Mr. Suresh Raman, head of TCS, to kindly step forward and present mementos to our dignitaries. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Jude, for moderating the session. Thank you once again to all the dignitaries on the rise. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now break for lunch and reassemble for the post-lunch session at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Please join us for lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite our distinguished speaker for this session, Mr. T.K. Vadivel Pillai, CEO and founder of IIMS Mind Academy. As you're all aware that MMA is very active in social media. MMA Chennai is the Facebook page. Please log into the page, like the postings, and stay connected with our activities. liveibc.com/MMA Live is the link for the webcast. You could pass on the link message to all your known friends and colleagues so they could watch the webcast. All major events of MMA are webcast live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I now invite on stage Mr. T.K. Vadivel Pillai. Sir, may I now request you to please take your place on the dais. Mr. Vadivel Pillai is the CEO and founder of IIMS Mind Academy. He's a motivational speaker, a transformational trainer, a therapist, illusionist, and mentalist, master hypnotist, practitioner of advanced hypnotic techniques, and NLP master practitioner and trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, he has also created national and international sports stars, namely Amal Raj and Neha Agarwal, using hypnotherapy and NLP techniques. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and over to you.
Good evening. How are you all doing? Tough question to ask after lunch, right? Yeah. So, I don't know how many of you all believe in magic. Please raise your hands. I'm talking about the magic of life, you know? Yeah. So life is the greatest magic. The breath we take in and leave out is the greatest magic you can have. Or raise your hand and drop it down. We never realize that. So we're going to talk about